The night was terrifyingly silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy, like it's watching you. Ethan wiped the counter of Midtown Pizza House, the neon light outside flickering like a dying heartbeat. It was 3:30 a.m., and they were just about to close. Then the phone rang. The shrill sound sliced the silence like a knife. Ethan froze for a moment. Who orders pizza at 3:30 a.m.? He whispered to himself before picking up. A slow, static-filled voice said, "I need 4 large pizzas delivered. Urgently." Ethan's first reaction was no. "We're about to close. We can't." But then he remembered. Big orders mean big tips. His rent was overdue. His bike needed servicing. He had no choice. "I'll take it," he said, biting his lip. The address blinked onto his screen. No house number, no street, just a location pin, deep inside the outskirts of the city, near the old, abandoned forest road people avoided even during the day. Ethan swallowed hard, grabbed the boxes, and stepped into the cold night wind. The air felt wrong, unnaturally cold, like someone exhaling on the back of his neck. He mounted his scooter and started riding. The city lights faded behind him. The broken road ahead swallowed him whole. Tall trees leaned over the path like dark, twisted giants. The wind attacked the bushes with violent force, making them hiss, like something alive was moving through them. Every few seconds, Ethan kept glancing into the mirrors, feeling watched. The deeper he went, the more the night smelled strange, like wet soil mixed with rusted metal. His heart thudded louder than the engine. Finally, the GPS beeped. He had arrived. An ancient, crumbling mansion stood in front of him, tall, dark, and suffocatingly silent. No lights, no signs of life, only the sound of the wind scraping against the wooden walls. Something about this place felt wrong, deeply wrong. Ethan dialed his manager. Ring, ring, ring. No answer. He tried again, and again. Not a single call connected. If he left without delivering, he would lose his pay, maybe even his job. He took a shaking breath and stepped off the scooter. The moment his shoe hit the ground, a single weak light flickered on inside the mansion, like someone had been waiting for him. Ethan felt a strange wave of confidence. Okay, someone is inside. It's fine, he whispered to himself. He walked toward the door and rang the bell. Nothing. He tried again. Still nothing. He waited. The wind whispered. Leaves crackled under some invisible footsteps. He turned around to leave. Click. The door creaked open behind him. By itself. Ethan froze. Inside was nothing but suffocating darkness. And then something moved. A jet-black cat, eyes glowing unnaturally bright, stared at him for a second before sprinting deeper into the shadows. Hello, Ethan called out, stepping inside. Your order is here. A light flicked on down the hallway. A faint sound followed. Cartoon laughter, distorted, wrong. Ethan's breath trembled. He walked slowly toward the room. Inside, 2 girls sat in front of an old TV. Both identical, both motionless, both staring straight into Ethan's eyes as if they had been expecting him. Their faces were blank, their eyes unblinking. Your pizza? They didn't move. Then, their eyes slowly faded into pure white, and their mouths stretched into impossible, ear-to-ear smiles. Ethan felt his blood turn to ice. Behind him, footsteps. Slow, heavy. He turned and saw her, a horrifying woman with a twisted, corpse-like face, standing inches away that Ethan's scream got stuck in his throat. The woman standing behind him looked rotted, like her skin had been peeled and stretched back over her skull. Her eyes were huge, glassy, and empty, the kind of eyes that didn't blink because the person inside no longer existed. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. She just stared. Ethan stumbled backward, dropping all 4 pizza boxes. They hit the floor with a dull thud that echoed through the hollow mansion like a warning. The 2 girls on the sofa didn't react. Their long white eyes stayed locked on him, smiling, smiling, smiling. The air felt thicker now, like the whole house was breathing, slow, heavy breaths that grew louder every second. Who are you? Ethan whispered. The woman tilted her head so sharply it cracked like a breaking bone. Her hair fell to the side, revealing a neck that looked crushed. Then, she started moving. Not walking, but gliding, her feet not touching the floor, her movements slow and jerky, like someone dragging a corpse on invisible strings. Ethan backed away, his legs shaking violently. I need to go. I'm leaving. The woman opened her mouth. Wider, 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 until her jaw hung unnaturally low, stretching in a grotesque angle. From inside her throat came a sound so distorted, so inhuman, it felt like it was drilling into Ethan's bones. A laugh, not loud, but cold, broken, like a dead person trying to mimic a living voice. The two girls began laughing too. But their laughter came delayed, echoing, metallic, like someone had recorded their giggles and played them at the wrong speed. Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He turned and ran. His feet skidded on the dusty floor as he bolted out of the mansion, almost falling down the steps. He sprinted to his scooter, hands trembling so badly he could barely get the keys into the ignition. He looked up for a split second. They were standing at the mansion door, all three, motionless, staring, their glowing white eyes cut through the darkness like knives. He kicked the scooter to life and sped off toward the broken forest road. But after only a few minutes, his scooter began to shake. The engine coughed, struggled, died. Come on, no, 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 no. Ethan yelled, slamming his hand on the handle. The forest around him grew silent, terrifyingly silent. He got off the scooter to check the problem. The tire was slashed, not punctured, slashed clean, as if with claws. His breath quickened. Then, he saw something in the scooter's side mirror. At first, just shadows, then shapes, then them, the woman, the two girls, standing behind him, motionless, closer than they should have been, their faces slowly turning into something more grotesque, more monstrous, something dripping with rot and hunger. Ethan spun around, but the road behind him was empty. He looked back into the mirror. They were even closer now, the woman's long fingers almost touching his shoulder. Ethan dropped the mirror and stumbled back in terror. He grabbed his phone with shaking fingers and dialed the police. Please help me. I'm sending my location. Just come fast, please. He sent the location, breathing so hard it hurt. The operator said, stay where you are. Stay on the line. But before he could reply, his phone screen flickered, glitched, then turned black. He wasn't alone, and he knew it. Something was standing behind him, breathing, slow, deep, hungry. Ethan didn't turn around. He couldn't. Every instinct inside him screamed that if he looked back, he wouldn't survive the night. The cold breath behind him felt real, wet, slow, too close, like someone was dragging their face across the back of his neck. His skin crawled with a burning fear that made his legs weak. He forced himself to take a single step forward. The breathing stopped. Then, a long crack snapped through the forest like a spine breaking. Ethan spun around, unable to hold back anymore. Nothing. No woman. No girls. No movement. Only the dead trees shaking with the cold wind. His chest rose and fell in rapid, panicked breaths. He looked at his scooter, the slashed tire, the mirror lying in the dirt. For a moment, he considered running back toward the city. But the road behind him looked darker than before, as if the shadows had thickened and swallowed the path. He dialed the police again. No signal. He lifted the phone higher. Still no signal. He walked around. Nothing. The forest felt like it was swallowing all sound, all air, all signals, like it wanted him trapped. Suddenly, a child's giggle echoed behind him. High-pitched, wrong, metallic. He froze. Another giggle, this time to his left, then to his right, then behind him again. It was circling him. Ethan bolted into the forest, kicking branches, stumbling over roots, running blindly through the darkness with only his phone's weak flashlight. His heart slammed against his ribs, each beat louder than the last. The trees leaned inward, their branches stretching overhead like skeletal arms, blocking what little moonlight was left. He didn't know where he was going. He just needed to get away. But something was following him. Fast. He could hear it. Feet dragging, leaves crunching, twigs snapping, a wet hiss growing closer. Ethan tripped and crashed onto the cold ground. Dirt filled his mouth. His elbow scraped against a sharp rock, blood dripping down his arm. He pushed himself up and hid behind the thick trunk of a dead tree, breathing through his trembling fingers. The forest fell silent again. Too silent. His flashlight flickered, then stabilized. He peeked from behind the tree and saw them, not far away. The woman stood motionless, her neck hanging at a twisted angle, her face inches from the bark of a nearby tree like she was listening to something inside it. The two girls were beside her, but their bodies were wrong now. Their limbs were longer. their spines arched backward, their fingers stretched like living branches. Their mouths hung open, smiling too wide, teeth exposed in a nightmarish grin. Ethan covered his mouth to stop himself from screaming. Then, both girls snapped their heads toward him at the exact same second. Their white eyes shone in the dark. They had heard him. Ethan ran again, the forest shaking with their distorted giggles chasing him. His legs burned. His lungs felt like fire. But fear pushed him forward. Finally, he saw lights. Headlights. A horn. Police. He screamed and ran toward the flashing lights, waving both arms like a drowning man. The officers stood near his abandoned scooter, shining flashlights around. Ethan crashed into them, falling to his knees, shaking uncontrollably. "They're coming. They're coming. Please, you have to help me." Two officers grabbed his shoulders. "What happened? Calm down. There. In the woods. They're right there." The officers raised their flashlights toward the forest. Ethan waited for them to scream, waited for them to see the monsters, waited for the terror to hit their faces. But instead, one of them said quietly, "I don't see anything." Ethan's face drained of color. He turned slowly toward the trees, and the forest stared back at him. Empty, silent, still, like nothing had ever been there at all. Ethan stood frozen, staring into the silent trees. His heartbeat pounded inside his skull like a hammer, but the forest looked normal, as if all the horrors had vanished the second the police arrived. But they were here, Ethan whispered, voice cracking. The woman, the girls, they were right here. The two officers exchanged a worried glance. "Let's check the mansion you mentioned," one said softly. "Show us." Ethan didn't want to go back. Every muscle in his body begged him to run far away. But he also knew he sounded insane. If he didn't prove what he saw, no one would believe him. So he followed them, step by step, back through the twisted path, back toward the place he never wanted to see again. The mansion rose from the darkness like a massive dead body, tall, broken, and breathing cold air through its cracked windows. Ethan pointed at the door with a shaking hand. That's where they were. The officers nudged the door open. No darkness burst out. No screams. No figures. Just dust, silence, and the smell of rotting wood. The officers stepped inside. Ethan followed closely, terrified to be even one step behind. The living room was empty. No TV, no sofa, no footprints, no pizza boxes. Only an old, half-broken lamp and peeling wallpaper. But the girls were here, Ethan whispered. Watching cartoons, laughing, staring right at me. One officer bent down and picked up something from the floor. A single black hair. Probably from a stray animal, he said. Ethan felt sick. They moved deeper into the mansion. Dust coated every corner. Spiderwebs hung from the ceiling like torn ropes. No sign of life. No sign of death. Just emptiness. Then they entered the last room. Something moved. A faint hiss. The officers lifted their guns. Ethan held his breath. A shadow crawled out from the darkness. A black cat. The same one Ethan saw earlier. Its eyes glowed for a second. Then it ran between their legs and disappeared outside. The officers lowered their weapons. That's it, one said. This place is empty. Ethan shook his head violently. No, this isn't right. They were here. I saw them. They were. Ethan, the older officer interrupted. 5 years ago, a woman and her 2 daughters lived here. They were murdered. Brutally. The place has been abandoned ever since. Ethan's eyes widened slowly. He felt cold. Colder than the night outside. Colder than death. The officer continued. Their case was never solved. Some locals say the family never left. But that's just stories. Ghost tales. Ethan didn't speak. He couldn't. His thoughts screamed, but his mouth stayed silent. His mind replayed the white eyes, the wide smiles, the distorted laughter, the woman standing inches behind him. He felt like collapsing. The officers escorted him back outside. The forest was quiet. The air was heavy. Something watched them from the shadows. Ethan could feel it, crawling under his skin. They reached his scooter. The officers took pictures, noted details, and asked questions he barely heard. Finally, they said, "You're safe now. Go home. Get some rest." But Ethan didn't feel safe. Not even close. He rode behind the police car until they reached the city. Only then did he breathe normally again. When he reached Midtown Pizza House, he walked straight inside, handed his apron to the owner, and said in a trembling voice, I quit. No explanation. No details. He walked out, never looking back. But every night, every time he closed his eyes, he saw them. The girls smiling with wide eyes. The woman standing behind him. The forest swallowing the road. The mansion breathing in the dark. And sometimes, in the reflection of his bathroom mirror, he swore he could still see them, standing behind him, just like before, watching, waiting, hungry. If you enjoyed this horror story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon for more terrifying stories.